is the end of the line for you, Quicksilver. You met your match.
Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about Wave 4 Silverhawks from Super 7 Ultimates and the issues surrounding this. They are up for pre-order. They either went up for pre-order Monday or Tuesday, but I've pre-ordered the ones I'm gonna get. I'm not getting them all, and I'll talk to you about that. I'm also going to talk about the problems that people are upset about. Upset, of course, obviously they bought some Silverhawks that were lesser shiny, and they want the more shiny, and we'll talk about all of that. I'm also going to talk about the silver lining to this situation, and I'm also going to talk about the fact that I had predictions for Wave 4. Maybe those should roll to Wave 6, but now as we see this progressing, it might actually have to change. We'll talk about this and more coming up. Okay, so this was my prediction for Wave 4. I made a video about a month ago. It was like 2 weeks before Sdcc, and Sdcc was a big shocker the way they rolled it out. But not really, because I actually thought they were going to make shinier versions of those same Silverhawks in Wave 6. So now this is my Wave 6 prediction, but some stuff's going to change because we're probably going to end up getting the Bluegrass, and we're probably going to end up getting the Steel Wheel in the shinier paint, possibly getting Copper Kid offered in shinier paint, and then maybe one of these. But who knows what Wave 6 will truly be. Okay, so Wave 4 is going to be comprised of these four. You're going to get these reissued with the toy decos and the toy colors and vac metalized Silverhawks. And so let's get into looking at these real quick, then we'll get into talk about the issues. I pre-ordered mine from BBTS because BBTS will not charge you till it comes in. And I like their shipping system and all that kind of stuff. And they've never done me dirty, never done me wrong. I support BBTS. They don't actually support the channel or anything. But with that, if you order all these from Super 7 and prepay in advance, a year or 2 years, who knows when these are going to come out. They say in 2024, but who knows. But you get this extra 4-head super pack. Now, we have yet to see any of these packs arrive because those waves still haven't come in yet. From the first time they said, we're going to give you this little extra throw-in if you pre-order from us, none of those waves have arrived yet, so we haven't seen these packs yet. But you get these 4 different heads if you order from them, and it's $280 to get the whole wave from Super7.com. Alright, so first off, we have Steelheart, and I think that she looks good. I was pretty happy with the Steelheart we got, but the more feedback I got from people, they said the color was off, and I think this actually matches the color a little closer. It's a better mix for both the toy and the cartoon. This does not exactly match the toy, but it doesn't exactly match the cartoon either. So we could argue, you could argue about the colors not fitting either one of them correctly, but I think it's a blend perfectly between toon and toy, but I'm okay with it. And so with that, these are still, I think these are just the renders anyway, but you're going to get the extra wings, you're going to get the 2 heads, you're going to get the toy-based razor, and then all these different hand options, and in the good vac metal. Now, real quick, just want to point out that Brian did say that the whole arm and joint is going to be vac metalized, but if you pop in and out the shoulders, then that's going to rub off the vac metal from that, but there's no way around that. There's no way to not vac metalize that, so it's just going to rub off. And it's going to look like vac metal's rubbing off, but it is just the way it is. So I say these are going to be super delicate. You're going to have to really be careful with them to not chip or scratch the vac metal. And when you could see some damage from shelf dives from these, I bet. Here's what the prototype looked like and the difference between the prototype and the actual render. I think this looks shinier and better than the render. So that's one of the things about them showing it in person. Before you saw the renders, you see this. The renders really do not do this any justice. These look so much better than the renders. And so with that, it's exciting to actually get to see the real shine and sheen of these. We're going to see this probably again this weekend at PowerCon. Here is her packaging, and that's, of course, again, this is a mock-up. We're just looking at it for fun. I don't even know why they show it because it never matches. But, yeah, in her face where it looks like she smelled something funny. Still looks like she smelled something funny. She doesn't look upset. She looks like something's rotten in Rotten in Limbo? Yeah, anyhow. So here's the Quicksilver, and again, I want to point out the tampograph or the paint or the green on the chest, which looks really good. Which it's really weird because I didn't notice on the first one that it wasn't really there, and now you notice that it wasn't really there. But yeah, it's not there on the first one. Here is a picture of the first one. You can see how muted that is and soft the colors are. It's a flat matte paint, and it's really gray instead of silver. And so anyway, they call them the Primer Hawks for fun. That's what people are calling them. But if you bought this, I have more discussion about this coming up. Here's what all he comes with, and not much really, just the bird and the extra head and some hands. And so the Tallyhawk is going to be more of a toy version style Tallyhawk, and that's fine. That's cool. That works. And I really like how shiny these end up turning out. So I'm down with it. I actually pre-ordered 2 sets of each of the vac metallized versions of the Hawks, and we're gonna see more coming. Here he is at Sdcc, and this is the prototype, and it looks great and extra shiny. I like that. And so with that, this is what really got everybody excited about it. And it's even more shiny and reflective when somebody's holding it and moving it around, and you just see all of the different angles reflecting, and why the vac metal is such a big deal for Silverhawk collectors. Now we're getting the toy version of Buzzsaw and his Shreddator. And this is where I start questioning what's going to happen going forward. I'm not too hot on what I'm seeing from Sdcc. We'll get into that though. But I think that the green is going to look good. It's going to pop. It's what I think of. And I didn't really watch the show a lot. And he's not in the show a whole lot, really. He's kind of, from what I've seen, he's in a few episodes, but he's not in them all the time. And when he is, he's not in for very long. So anyhow, he still looks really good in the render. You get an extra weird head, some extra strange hands, and then you get more of a toy kind of bird, I guess. And not a whole lot different from the original one. This is the packaging shot. Again, we don't really know about the packaging and what it's going to really look like, but I want to show what my concern is. And so here is the picture from Sdcc. So this is going to have a shiny sheen on it according to the picture that we're getting from the render. But Sdcc, it looks like super flat, washed out colors. Now, that could just be it's the prototype, and it's going to be different. But this is probably going to be a flat matte and not very shiny. So if that's the case, I'm going to be disappointed. I pre-ordered one of these. But if it's coming out looking just like this on the shelf on the left here, I'm not going to be that very happy. I mean, the original toy was shiny. It had a sheen to it, a nice sheen to it. It's not vac metallized. It's just a shinier green, not a super flat matte green. So I would be disappointed. I like the render look better than this. When it comes to the vac metal Silverhawks, the real Silverhawk looked better than the render. Now we're getting into Monstar, and he's not much different than the one that already came out. And so with this, it's really kind of hard to tell if this is going to be worth $85. The other 3 are $65 each, and this one is $85 each. And then another thing is that Brian said it was going to be $65 to $75 each for the Silverhawks that are vac metallized, and it's smart to go at the $65 price point. They already have the molds, the tooling done, and so really you're just paying the extra for the vac metallizing on it. But I still feel like these figures are $30 figures. Except for Monstar, he should be like $50. But he's $85. Anyway, getting down to it, this is what he comes with. The extra kind of pre-transformed head on him. Sort of the toy look that we had. And then we get his bird and Sky Shadow, and then the extra hands and the gun and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I just don't see this as being that great of an upgrade. And he does look flat matte in this picture, but in the original picture, the one that shows the whole group, he looks really shiny. So I have no idea. And that's the other problem you get with Super 7, is having absolutely no idea what this stuff's really going to look like when you get it, and not really matching the renders. But it was a smart marketing move on Brian's behalf to show the vac metallized birds at Sdcc and probably at PowerCon, because we can see exactly what they're going to look like in hand versus renders, which I don't know. Is this a render? Because these look like the real thing. So before we get into talking about the issues, this is the Wave 5 Copper Kid and the Space Racer. That has not been officially announced yet. And this brings into question what they're going to do with go forward figures. Are they going to all come out in a cartoon look so that if you started cartoon, you can continue cartoon, and then later come out with the VAC metal? Is that going to be the way the rest of these go? And if they do all the Silverhawks that were made, there's still more VAC metal figures to be made in the future. So I'm curious how that's going to work. Will Copper Kid get the first one as Toon and then come later as a toy? That's a big question mark, how that's going to work. Or will you get the option to pick? Probably not an option to pick. Or if they do both at the same time, that might happen too. Who knows? Who knows? Because that might be part of why it's all wave. That might be part of why we haven't seen it yet. But there's a lot of questions that rise in here. But with that, let's get into the issues with Wave 4. Okay, so what if you've already been buying these and you've been picking them up and as you go? You already have a collection of these in the Primer Hawk version. And now I understand you're going to be upset if you really wanted to have the VAC metalized look first. Now, I do want to point a few things out. First of all, these are cheaper than the VAC metalized ones. Second of all, if you want to sell them off when you get your VAC metalized ones, then you will probably get $30 a piece out of them if you're lucky this day and age. But the thing about it is that you can kind of look at it from the standpoint that you got screwed over because you got these and you really wanted VAC metal. Or you can look at it from the standpoint that if you really wanted VAC metal, you're actually finally going to get them, and this is the route they go. I don't really want to defend Brian on this situation because I would have rather had VAC metal from day one myself. But I do want to say that every other toy line they make, aside from the Turtles, is cartoon based. It's more like, so the Thundercats that are in there are based on the cartoon, and then we get the toy later. They're following the same recipe, but this is a little bit more of a challenge because he came out saying that it could not be done, so people jumped in on this, and a lot of people feel like they were duped into this versus waiting and getting the VAC metal that they really wanted. So when it came to these, I was on the fence really about even getting their Quicksilver in the first place because I already had the Ramen toy. And then their Monstar, I was on the fence. I didn't pre-order it. I only really pre-ordered the Steelheart and the Buzzsaw. And so I got those from BBTS. And then later I went ahead and ordered the Quicksilver, but I canceled it. I canceled the Quicksilver because of the fact that I still had the opportunity to, because I ordered through BBTS, and then when I saw that this happened, I was able to just cancel it, not worry about it, and then find a cheaper one on the secondary market down the road or something. So with that was the flexibility that I had the way I ordered it. But the people who ordered it straight from Super 7 and prepaid for it years in advance got screwed. And they didn't have that availability and that flexibility, and which is why they're offering that little bit of an extra add-on to order from them. But I'm so glad I was able to have that flexibility, so I didn't get cash strapped with this $55 for a figure that I really wasn't very excited for. One of the silver linings to this is the fact that when the VAC metalized ones come out, the Primer Hawk ones will probably be getting sold off, fire sold, for pretty cheap. Now, that's a plus and a minus, because I think that there are going to be people that are looking at the $30 price point to pick them up for $30, maybe $25, $30 price point. But that sounds like it sucks for the people that already bought them. But if you've got a used one, or maybe you threw the package away, you got a loose one, and you're recouping at least close to half of what you're going to be paying for the new ones, that's still something. That's still the fact there's still a market there. There are people that do like the flat look, that like the more cartoon. And somebody did point out that it would have been nice if they had cell shading on them, which I don't know if cell shading would be good on these. But that's a non-factor. There's a market for these at $30. I wish Brian could figure out how to get the price down on them and just sell more of them. But at the way it looks, if you feel like you got duped and you feel like you got screwed and you want your VAC metal ones, I'm sure people will buy these. Just, not for $55. So I'm still excited for the line. I want to see what comes in the future. And I did pre-order 2 of each of the VAC metal ones and 1 of the buzzsaw, not the Monstar, and that's what I'm doing. Now, I'm not suggesting you do that. I'm just telling you what I'm doing for full transparency. And with that, I always like to tell people what I'm up to and what I'm doing and what's going on over here. And so with that transparency, I'd like to hear what you guys think about this. And also, where are reactions, Silverhawks? And is this going to be okay? They can do Vac Metal, so will they do Vac Metal reaction, Silverhawks? I'd be down for $20 reaction, Silverhawks and Vac Metal, wouldn't you? But I'd like to know your comments in the comments below. Like, subscribe. Titanium Hanger out.
It's our human qualities that give us the power to tell right from wrong.
Will and I'll go straight in, kid. You take the back and cut anyone off who tries to escape.
Skyrunner, we're not finished yet.
Oh, thank you, Tallyhawk.